It's Tuesday morning. I got my boys back in the house. Stew, Schuyler is here. The guys are back. Bleav in Panthers, a brand new episode. We just went through preseason game number 2. We'll talk about that. We'll get Schuyler's takes from that. He was at the stadium. We were watching, and it's our annual Panther win-loss record thing that we do here on Bleav in Panthers. Stew and Schuyler are going to pick win-loss things. I'll be the tiebreaker. We'll see what kind of nonsense we get to at the end of it. I think every year we pick
12-5 nonsense.
I think we pick 12-5 every year. So we'll see what it is for that. And we're going to try to get through every division winner. Who do we think is going to win the division in every division? We've already did the AFC North. We'll do the rest of them as well. It's Bleav in Panthers. We're on our regular time. We're on our regular stuff. Let's go.
Jonathan Stewart gets in, fights for more yardage. Stewart to the mouth of the goal line. Touchdown!
Wow, that's just pure Stewart right there.
That's a big-time run by Jonathan Stewart.
Welcome to Bleav in Carolina Panthers here on Bleav Podcast Networks. Do you believe? Rate and subscribe the show on all major podcast platforms and subscribe to our social media channels on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Video available weekly at youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Do you believe?
I'll tell you what, man, I'm just excited to have my boys back in the house. It's been like 2 weeks, I think, since all 3 of us have been on at the same time. So this is monumental. This is an occasion. This is something that you guys can look forward to. We're back on our Tuesday 10:30 a.m. slot for the regular season. As you know, we like to let everybody kind of get their stuff out over the weekend, and then we kind of bring it in, sum up everything, and get you ready for the next week. Everything's brought to you by Bet Online. I did not forget to read this week. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet of up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from baseball to Formula One racing to even preseason NFL football. Bet Online has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game is over, head on over to Online Casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or on one with over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use the promo code Bleav for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit of up to $250. Bet Online. The game starts here. And where we will start first is checking in with the guys. Stu, Schuyler, what's going on, man? I know we've all been pretty busy the past couple of weeks, and it's about to get even busier. What's been going on? How y'all been doing?
Been busy, man. Just
I've seen you playing some golf.
Been playing a lot of golf.
Any hole ones yet?
I actually haven't played that much golf. It just seems like it has.
Some clips.
Clips that I save and post them whenever I can.
Yeah.
But just busy, business, entrepreneurial mindset, always on the go. Got these kids, and now that school started, football practice is after school now.
Yeah.
So, so kind of dialing in on that. 3:15, got those boys out there in that heat. So,
man, actually, it's crazy too because I think I saw it's supposed to be really cool outside the rest of this week. I think the high is 79 today or something.
It was cool outside this morning. I took the dogs.
Yeah, it was nice. Yeah.
So I think it's supposed to go all the way to Saturday or Sunday or something. So in North Carolina, they call it fake fall. So enjoy fake fall while you can.
100 degrees will be back next Monday.
Yeah, it will be back. So don't think it's done. This is pneumonia weather is what my grandmother would say. This is when
I better not go out there and catch pneumonia.
Nope, not wearing T-shirts and acting all crazy. Don't come
back in the house with this air conditioning on.
We're all sniffing it and sneezing, raising my power bill. We typically right around this time of the year, we do the Panthers win-loss record. We'll go through the regular season. We'll go through the pros and cons, what we think. This one might be a little bit harder, though, because we haven't seen the starters play at all, really. Some of the linemen and I guess either Mingo or Marshall is going to be one of the starting wide receivers, but we haven't seen anybody, really. Schuyler, you were at the stadium on Saturday. The Panthers taking on who did they play? I forgot they played. The Jets. That's right. There's nothing really happened at all. I don't know. Did you guys take from it the defense? Did you feel like the defense played well? What did you pull from this game, Schuyler, while you were watching it? Because you were telling us off camera that the press box was kind of And
it was. I mean, I was already tired that day, so maybe that's why I was a little sleepy. But it was more. little chitter chatter going on in the press box more than usual, probably because a lot of people just aren't really paying attention. And I'll be kind of one of those people kind of in and out my focus. But I mean, when you have a game where you don't play any of your starters, a lot of even your second string guys don't really play a whole lot. It's hard to really take much away. And I had to do a kind of like a what we learned type of article from the game. It's still up on the site if you want to go check it out. There's a couple things I do think are worth pointing out. And I guess the first one I'll say is the wide receiver competition. It feels like, and I think we've said it on this show a few times, they're probably going to take 6 receivers. I don't think they're going to go 7. I think 5's too few. 6 seems to be around the right number. But we saw Jonathan Mingo. We saw Terrace Marshall. They got in, made a couple plays, got out quick. But we saw David Moore. We saw Amir Smith-Marset way deep into the fourth quarter, which makes me think those 2 guys are probably battling for that number 6 spot. So that's the first thing. Trevon Wallace, I mean, this kid is going to be a stud. I've said this kind of for the past couple of weeks now, and I'm riding high on this train. So I'm all for it. If it ends up backfiring, I'm sorry, Trevon, I jinxed you, but this kid just looks like a future star in the making. He's got Shaq Thompson. He's got Josie Jewell to learn from. He's not going to have to be thrown out to the wolves. But if there is an instance where he has to come in and play a bigger role, I think he's going to be A-okay. I mean, he just flies around the field, makes a ton of plays. So that was kind of my second thing. I can't even remember my third. Oh, the third thing was the offensive line. The depth is still an issue. And I know we've talked about that many times on here. They only gave up 1 sack in the game. But if you just look at it from that perspective, you're kind of misled, because I thought Jack Plummer and Jake Luton were under pressure way too much. They were getting guys beat one-on-one off the edges, both tackles. I can't even remember who was at tackle most of the time, but there was too many missed assignments, I thought, up front. So a lot to clean up, but I don't know how much of those guys we're actually going to see this week either, because maybe we will see some starters.
I don't know, because I just saw Buffalo set
probably not, though. Probably not.
Yeah, so I don't know if we're going to see him or not. And before I kick it to Stu, if you're watching this on Twitter, because we did figure that situation out, you can watch this on the X Twitter feed for Bleav in Panthers. Do us a favor, do us solid, share it out so people can see it and see what's going on, and come check out Bleav in Panthers. Stu, were you in the stadium since it was at Bank of America, or were you watching at home, or what were your takeaways from preseason game number 2, if any?
Yeah, I did the pregame radio show with Jim Szoke.
That's my guy. Yeah, I love Jim Szoke.
29 years.
Yes,
has been doing it. So shout out to you, Jim. But yeah, before the game, I basically wanted to see who would be a spark on offense. And you can really tell that how they were calling the plays. They were definitely trying to figure out who was going to make a play. I think I saw a reverse or a jet sweep to Mingo, and then they came right back to him with another jet sweep just to see what he would do with the ball in his hands. One got called back from with a penalty, but it was good to see him show a burst and show his ability as a big receiver in the open field, the ball in his hands. And then Terrace Marshall, I think he showcased, in my opinion, he showcased that he is not just a practice guy. He's not just a guy that just shows up in practice. He's a guy that we saw in 2022 where he had 28 catches for 400 and some yards, right? That's Terrace Marshall Jr. that we talk about on this podcast, as far as, hey, don't sleep on Terrace Marshall. TMJ can play.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, it's going to be up to him to resolve any, hiccups that he's had along the way on his journey, just to, squash any hesitation of a coach putting him in, putting him in the game. So, and this is an opportunity too. It's a new offensive coordinator, new offense, new head coach. So if you're a guy that, has been, in the doghouse last year, right? This is your opportunity to make, a statement and basically, just change the minds of not just the coaching staff, the fans, go out there and make some plays. And so In my opinion, TMJ did his thing. And I think, all the fans talking about the offensive starters and why aren't we seeing the starters? Well, you know why. There's a lot of injuries out here. And so we ain't going to be no good if we have a bunch of banged up guys on the sideline come week 1. And who do we play week 1? The Saints. That's a very important game. That's not just, let's just start the season. This is a division game. This is an opportunity to shock the world. So you got to make sure you have all your guys on deck ready to go. And hopefully, during practice, I mean, when you talk about, having joint practices, you're getting meaningful reps during practice. And some can argue those reps in practice are a little bit more chippy than they are in game situations. So you get to see how guys respond to chippiness, to being tired, to being in an environment where it's not familiar. And I think, David Canales and, his staff, they're doing what's best for their team, doing what's best for their organization. Because if you have a guy like Schuyler Callihan talking about depth is an issue and has been an issue for the last 3 years, they know that depth is an issue. So they got to make sure they keep their guys upright, ready to go, ready to rock and roll. So
I agree with everything both of you said. Trevon Wallace flashed to me during the game. I wasn't planning on watching the whole game. Matter of fact, I made a joke about watching the whole game right before I started doing it, and then just stayed there like the whole game for some reason, just trying to see some depth and stuff. And plus, I didn't realize it. Maybe a lot of people don't realize it either. They kind of need to play these 3rd, 4th, 5th string guys because they don't cut the same way as they used to when we had 4 games. Before it was incremental cuts. You went from 100 or whatever to 80 to your 53 or whatever after game 4 or whatever. You had to make the final cut. Now it's just like all the cuts kind of happen at one time at the very end. So
you're building a team way differently with that approach, right?
Yeah.
Because at least you can kind of go through an training camp and basically, all right, this guy is still on the team. Let's see what he looks like with this group. All right. Now you're starting to like group guys where now you kind of have to be creative in ways to see everyone play. And so that way you don't miss an opportunity to bank a guy. And I will say this, the way that preseason is structured, it's made to basically see the guys that you haven't seen. It's made for that.
Yeah.
And also for those guys that are on, the gray line, right? On the fence. Yeah. It's an opportunity for coaches to basically say, okay, this guy on the fence, is he going to, wake up? Is he going to make some plays for us? Is he healthy? Those types of questions can be answered during preseason games. And I feel like we're doing that as an organization, right? Yeah. We're doing what this preseason mentality is called for. And I know as fans, we're just eager to see our starters. We're eager to see how they're going to perform. And hate to tell you this, you're not going to be able to see that until the regular season starts anyway. Yeah, if they play the preseason or not.
They ain't playing.
You're not going to see
it's a series or two at most.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So be out there. You're not going to be able to see how we respond to adversity until you put them in an adverse situation. And so those adverse situations, when the game's actually on the line, when the season's on the line, that starts with regular season. And that's just the God honest truth, right? We're not here to see preseason. We're here to see regular season, our guys on the field, ready to go, 53-man roster, and we got to make sure we win. And you can win when you got your guys in.
When I was on WFNZ, I think it was last week, I was talking with Willie P about it, and it kind of makes sense. Like, I feel like the further we get closer, or I guess I should say the closer we get to an 18-game regular season, you're going to start to see no starters play, because then that means they're probably going to take off one of the preseason games. Now you have 2.
Yep.
It's another opportunity lost for those guys that Stu just talked about. Like, this is their time. This is kind of like their Super Bowl, because this is their chance to show that they belong on an NFL roster. And the more games you take away from them, or the more reps you take away from them, the less opportunity you have to really see what you even have. So I think we're going to get to that point because I feel like the 18-game thing, whether you like it or not, is probably going to happen sooner than later. And we're going to get to this point, I would say within the next 5 years, we're going to come back and revisit this and be like, y'all remember we were talking about whether starters are going to play? No starters are even going to be playing nowadays. Like, that's just going to be the new thing. And, I mean, the one thing I do want to go back to Terrace for just a second. I talked to him after the game on Saturday, and he's usually very quiet, reserved, and he still kind of is. But you can just see or feel when someone provides a different type of energy. And I kind of got that from him on Saturday after the game. And I just asked him straight, I was like, do you feel like this is the right system or the right coaching staff for you to kind of be the person that they drafted you to be? And he gave me an answer that I probably wasn't expecting, but it was a good one. And he said, it's the right situation for me because it's the one I'm in right now.
Mm.
And that's I like that mindset.
And that's a mindset. That's a great mindset.
Great answer. There was a shot of him on the sideline during the game with his arm around Coach Canales, and I'm like, I don't remember him really even standing beside a coach like in the 3 or 4 years that he's been here.
He's a player's coach, man.
He's players coach, man.
And look, Stew's been around him a few times, I'm sure. I mean, I've seen him practically, 4 or 5 times a week, at least to this point, and the players just love him. I mean, that is very
it reverberates out of the screen kind of a little bit too. And watching Camp Confidential, I finally got around to watching that a couple days after it dropped, and I'm glad I did. I think I watched after the preseason game because it kind of colors in the lines a little bit in terms of like how they're building the team and like who's emerging as leaders or whatnot. And there is a palpable difference between last year and this year, in my opinion, in terms of even just watching that preseason game. It felt like at least there was some sort of plan on offense, like they were trying to do something, where last year it didn't feel like they were trying to do anything. It just felt like they were kind of just
– they're trying to figure it out as it went on.
Yeah, as they were going, yeah. And then come to find out, I think it dropped last week that the Panthers changed their offense like 3 times during the season last year. How do you, Stu, as a former offensive player, how do you do that?
I never heard of it.
Yeah, so it's like, what do you mean you changed the offense? Like,
yeah,
it's strange. But now they've got some continuity. Not some, they've got continuity. And they had an interview with Dan Morgan in the booth. I'm glad you and Stewart, I'm glad you and Smitty are getting a chance to be in the booth and do some color commentating. I come from that world. How did it feel? Was it your first time doing color commentary, Stu? Or
well, I wasn't doing color. I did the pregame radio. So the gym with Jim Zoki. So that was, I mean, it's just basically us talking, right? What we're doing right now. What
and
we
Jim's
that
ship.
Yeah, he's a vet. He's like throwing me layups, basically. But no, it was a good experience, man, and just being able to tap in, to the method and being able to speak to things that we've experienced, and just kind of get, help people with the knowledge and understanding of what, we're in right now as far as preseason and what to expect and what to look at. That's what I enjoy most about, getting into the space is, sharing my knowledge and figuring out ways to articulate it. But going back to Dave Canales, one of my favorite parts of the Camp Confidential series is him singing, Bob Marley.
Yeah.
And some people will say to themselves like, oh man, that was cool. He's a cool dude. Just, but there's a message behind all of that. He's intentional about every single thing, the song selection, and just the timing of where these young men are, right, in their lives. They might have families back home that are depending on them to make this team or a team or to make something happen and make something shake. They're in the NFL now, right? So all these jitters that they're experiencing day in and day out, and you have your coach, your head coach, the leader of your organization, basically saying, don't worry about a thing because every little thing's going to be all right. That's a man that is providing perspective for these young men. Just go out there and play loose and just know that everything will be taken care of if you just do your part. So I really enjoyed that part of that series because it was an eye-opening, opportunity for the fans to say, to get behind something that is fruitful. This isn't just smoke. Like, you can get, like, if there's struggles, we can get behind a guy that's going to attack struggles like this, you know, with the perspective, with the mindset, with the energy that, hey, everyone relax.
He's the
epitome. The ship is burning, but you know what? There's water right outside the ship.
He's the epitome of next play up. Like, I mean, literally, like, he lives, it feels like he lives, like, everything he's doing, he's like, what's the next play? What's the next play? He's not lingering on whatever happened in the past, which I love. And you're right, Camp Confidential kind of showed the interior of how they're building this. And it feels like Dan Morgan's been given the keys to this franchise. Like, this is yours. I'm not going to get in the way. You build it the way you see fit in terms of what you think a Panther franchise should be. And I'm seeing former players, Stew, Smitty, others, like, showing that is a level of respect to Dan Morgan that I'm kind of seeing that the former players and you guys are cheering him on. Like, it, you know, he's one of you. Like, and I feel like he kind of, not even kind of, watching that preseason game, realizing there was a lot of those players that weren't going to be out there. The one takeaway I took from it, Dan was spot on with when he was saying the type of player that he wants to get. There's some dogs out there, like dudes that are like fighting and like scratching and clawing. Like,
you know what that reminds me of is that Coastal Carolina coach. I don't know if you've ever seen. He's like, we don't need no cats. We need some dogs.
We don't need no cats. No puppies.
We don't need no cats around here. But I felt it, like Wallace and some of those other guys. It just kind of, it's not a nastiness. It's just a certain sense of what you are. Like,
Speaking of Trevon, I'm not at practice today, but just saw a tweet that he just picked off Andy Dalton. So he continues again to make it a play. That's just what he does. He's a playmaker. Also, Deontay Johnson was limping. He grabbed his foot, but he came back and made a catch. So it sounds like he's okay.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go out here and just say this. Trevon Wallace. The fact that he, this is the reason why he's going to be great, because he's studying the greats. I read an article, I don't know who wrote it, but that he's been watching film of Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly.
We'll just say Schuyler wrote it.
We'll say Schuyler.
I did ask him about Shaq and Josie, but yeah,
there you go. I mean, so it's not.
But when you have a young rookie that understands the assignment, that's a beautiful thing. The assignment is, hey, you're here to start. You're here to be great. So go study the greats. Go study the guys that continue to pass on the torch. Like, you already have Shaq Thompson in the room that basically, was under TD and Luke. So now you got three guys that you're basically emulating yourself after. Emulation is the best way to learn. Find a guy and try to do everything that they do, and then just make it your own sauce. And so Trevon Wallace, I have a feeling that he's going to be a Panther great one day.
He's got something. There's something.
And even more so because Dan Morgan picked him. Period.
Yeah.
He saw something in him that reminded him of him, I think, and he's been very vocal about looking for those kind of guys that remind him of former Panthers. And that Wallace quote, I do remember that he said he was watching Luke and TD film, and he wasn't watching Dan Morgan film because he wasn't alive when Dan Morgan played. So, so he's got a little sense of humor as well.
He's going to be a stud, man. Like I remember draft night, and they turned the card in. They're like, Panthers select Trevon Wallace. I'm like, who in the hell is this guy? Like we do mock drafts all the time. Like, I mean, I'd never heard or really saw much of his game. As soon as I flipped the tape on, I'm like, all right.
Weren't they hating on Luke when we drafted Luke?
It's kind of, I was like that a little bit, and I'm an ACC country. Like who is Luke Kuechly? Like, and I had to start watching.
Future Hall of Famer. That's who he is.
Yeah, he's all over the place. There's 5 of them on the field. He's everywhere. So yeah. So I mean, and what better place for a rookie linebacker to go than the Carolina Panthers? Their whole history is linebacker you basically, like the linebackers that have come through this franchise over the 30 years of this franchise from the beginning to now. He might be able to be a part of that lineage going forward. So I'm really excited about him. That was the main thing that popped out. I did have it's not really a tell them why you're mad. It's kind of more of I understand why the Panther fan base is wanting to see the starters.
I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
You got Pat Mahomes out here throwing behind the back passes during preseason games to Travis Kelce and making it look easy. And our people are like, well, where's Bryce Young? We want to see some Bryce Young. I don't know why the Chiefs are playing their starters. I have no idea why Mahomes is even out there. Maybe they're out there to do that kind of stuff. And then they played it off afterwards. Like, no, I wasn't trying to look cool. I'm just, just trying to. Yes, you were. Yes, you were. No one thinks to do that in a football game, even if it's like in the backyard. And you out here doing it against whoever poor team it was that y'all were playing against. And you can see all their faces, like when the ball gets released, they're all like, oh. And it was only like 2 yards or whatever, but it went viral. Everybody talking about it. And no one's like, why are the Chiefs starters playing? They're all just like, the Chiefs starters are playing. Like, they're using it as a point that our starters should play. And I'm like, I don't want to see our starters. I don't want to see them at all.
I mean,
like this.
That's the thing that everyone's not understanding is like Damian Lewis has had a shoulder injury for a little while now. Robert Hunt got injured last week during practice.
Don't put Bryce out there.
You can't put him out there if you don't have your full complement. Like, there's a reason why you paid those two dudes $154 million. And if they're not out there, what's the point in throwing them out there for 2 series?
We know what it looks like with them not out there. We just went through it last year. Like, why would we put ourselves through it? And then to Stu's point, they probably got a better feel during the 50, 60 reps they had against the Jets on Thursday. Why put them out there again for the fans? They don't need that. Like,
when we saw him carve up, and I mean legitimately carve up the Jets defense on Thursday, I looked at the people I was standing there talking to. I was like, he ain't playing on Saturday. Like, there's no chance.
No way. Meaningful reps are in practice as well when you have those joint practices.
That's what's important, those joint practices.
The thing also with those is like they're more controlled. Guys aren't going to be bringing the quarterback to the ground. So it's a lot safer for a guy like Bryce to not have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So I think we'll see more of that starting to happen where the teams will start to lean on those joint practices and kind of setting those up more. And then to your point, Schuyler, it'll probably be at a 2-game preseason next year. I'm surprised they didn't get it in this year. So it'll probably 18-game regular season, 2 buys during the season. Those 2 preseason games are kind of to get your roster in order. You're not going to see starters anymore, which means people probably won't be at the games, and we'll just kind of go from there. This is the only level of football where there's preseason games anyway. Like, it's not weird to not play preseason football. We psych ourselves into this because, they're going to need that extra game. They don't play it in college. They don't play it in high school. They don't play it in Pop Warner. Like, there is no preseason. You just
strap up and go.
Just go.
But I will say, like, we're now like entering a new phase of, what football looks like. The new generation, like, they don't know what they don't know. You can't go up to these kids and say, oh, we got 2-a-days today. Yeah, padded practices. Them kids going to look at you and say, bro, I've been playing football all my life. I've never had a 2-a-day. You know what I'm saying? That's where we are now. Yep. So
why
talk about preseason, like, hold on. Why are we playing? Why are the starters playing? Because we never experienced this, right? Yep. So you're going to start seeing the game change from that element just alone, how we practice, right? Yep. I mean, I saw on the TV show thing that they're doing, Camp Confidential. Mm-hmm. As they were running sprints, they were checking people's heart rates while they were running. That was surprising me. I'm like, whoa. So during practice, you mean to tell me you can tell whether or not I'm working hard? You can tell whether or not my heart is about to explode. But while I'm like breathing heavy, you can come up to me and say, hey, look, reminder, breathe through your nose. Yeah. Breathe through your nose, fella. So you're going to be all right.
What kind of witchcraft is going on at practice today?
But so crazy. The technology, the science that's behind all of this, we're just basically implementing it. We're applying it. That's what you're seeing with the Carolina Panthers is, hey, coach, this is what the health looks like on our team. Take this information and you do with it as you want. And I'm pretty sure a lot of that science behind the health and behind guys being banged up is a huge consideration as far as who's going to play in a preseason game and who's not.
I'm just happy there's some sort of plan. They kind of have an idea of what they want to do. And I like the fact that I like Dave Canales. Like, I genuinely like the guy. Like, he seems like a genuine person. And I like people like that in my life. Like, I like being able to gravitate towards those positive type people. Because if you spend your whole life just being negative, like all the time, I'm a firm believer in karma. That kind of follows you around if you're just a negative person all the time. But if you're a positive person, it's going to kind of come back around to you. And I feel like with him, he's the personification of that. And pairing with Dan Morgan, they're kind of like a yin yang kind of thing going on, where they're two different personalities, but they just mesh. Like they seem like they're on the same page. And it feels like Tepper is staying out of everything and just letting them do what they do. And we'll see here as we get ready for this is our second, third year we've tried to do this. The Bleav and Panthers record prediction.
I think this is this is Stew's third year, right?
Yeah. Third. This is your 5 of the show. Well, yeah, this is your third year.
Fourth.
So it's your third. Yeah, so this will be our third year of doing this. And
this is number 3.
You guys can chime in the gallery. There's people watching right now. If you're a fan of the show, you know how we do this. So I'm going to go through the records. I'm going to pull it up here in just a bit. The schedule, I mean. And
don't go back and see how we did in the last.
No, I think we. I don't think we were horrible.
I've got the schedule right down here, so I'm going to keep track of what we say. So that way, at the end of the year, I'm going to come back and tell you where you all messed up.
I think we're going to be a little better this year because we were flying high last year about this time of the year, even though we'd had a couple preseason games and it was like danger. We should have probably seen the sign. We were just like, nope, 12-5. So I think we'll be a little bit more tempered this year. So this is how it works. Schuyler's going to make a pick. Stew's going to make a pick. If there's a tie, I'll be the tiebreaker. If not, we'll watch that as the vote for the show and we'll move on. We'll kind of gauge where we are at a certain point. It's a manageable schedule. I mean, it's a last place schedule, so it's not like it's really daunting or anything like that. Although I will say I do get frustrated when people try to say how hard or easy a schedule is going to be in the upcoming year based off of the team's makeup last year. These teams are not the same. Like they have all had changes roster-wise or coaching-wise or whatever. But just because Dallas went 12-5 last year, people look at them on the schedule this year and go, oh, that's going to be a really hard game. Dallas ain't done a damn thing in this offseason except for sign up a kicker and bring back Zeke. That's it. That's all they've done. Like, I don't know what they're doing. CeeDee Lamb, waiting on money. Dak, at this point, it's pointless for him to even ask for the money. Just wait and be a free agent at the end of the year because it looks like that's what they're going to let him do, which makes no sense. And Micah Parsons, he hadn't got a deal yet either. So I don't know what Jerry Jones is doing. They're kind of just saving money here at the end. So I don't know why, but we'll get to them in just a bit. So I'm not mistaken, they are on our schedule. So we will see Dallas this year. Let me go ahead and pull up this. Give us your opinions on what we're about to attempt to do here as we get through the Carolina Panthers schedule.
Yeah, tell us if we're crazy or if we're spot on.
Because this is going to get.
We can't pick ties, right? I don't think we've done that in the past. But
no, we've never done it. We never said we couldn't, but.
Ain't no tie, man. We don't need. Well, ties could help us out.
So week 1, regular season starts off September the 8th. 1:00 kickoff. You'll see that's a regularity this season. The majority of their kickoffs are at 1:00, which I'm cool with. It's at New Orleans starting the season at the Superdome on the road. I've heard coaches say that they don't mind, players too. They don't mind being on the road for week 1. Kind of gets them in a different mentality. I don't even know what the Saints are doing. I've seen a lot of people pick the Saints to finish last in this division, actually, with us ahead of them. So are we buying the idea that the Saints are kind of getting old? They've been kicking that salary cap can down the road for so many years. It seems like it's finally caught up to them. Derek Carr, I believe, is still the quarterback. They still have Alvin Kamara, but he's a little bit older. I saw he's getting picked like 15th in fantasy football leagues right now. So it's not a lot of people really feeling good about New Orleans. What do you guys think? Is this a game where we can get Dave Canales' first win as a head coach?
I'm going to say no. This is just a tough first game, tough first opponent, tough place to play. And I think even though it is probably the right decision to hold your starters out of the preseason, it's going to take a little bit of time for them to kind of start meshing. And I don't know that it's going to happen right out of the gate against the New Orleans Saints.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it'll be a good game, but I don't see them coming out with a win in this one.
Stu?
I'm going to have to go with yes.
That's for us to win,
and only because and I'll say this because I'm a firm believer in you don't know how to game plan something you don't know.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
The Carolina Panthers, new offensive scheme, new head coach. It's a new mentality. It's a new world. It's a whole new world. And so I have to say the Saints is going to be Dave Canales' first victory as a head coach.
Des, we're putting you on the spot right away.
I know, first week. I understand both of you. I kind of lean towards Stew, though, in terms of I think our defense will be better than the Saints because the Saints have been riding their defense for years, but they're getting Cam Jordan and those guys are getting older. This is the second year in EJ's defense, and it feels like at this point he knows how to plug and play guys into that system, guys we never even heard of. Like, it feels like there's going to be guys at the end of this season that wore Panther uniforms that we're going to be talking about that we aren't talking about at the beginning of the season because we just don't know who they are, and we're going to find out about them throughout the year. I'm kind of riding the Dave Canales wave of positivity, and I don't see a reason. We were competitive week 1 last year with everything going on, so there's no reason for me to assume that can't happen this year. I'm gonna pick a win. I'm gonna pick a road win. It's starting already, Schuyler. I know. Just it's okay. All right.
Here in about 10 minutes, we're going to be sitting here at about 13-0.
So, week 2, September the 15th, a 1 o'clock kickoff again. This time at home. It's the home opener against the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert may not be playing. He's got a foot situation going on. Isn't it plantar fasciitis or whatever? The same thing that Cam had?
Plantar fasciitis.
Yeah, and
I think that's what it is. I'm not 100% sure.
That's not a quick injury to come back from, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if he'll be out there.
That could be. I mean, depending on the severity. I mean, sometimes that could be like a whole season.
Yeah, you just gotta figure out a way to play through it.
I'm gonna go win here, mainly because of that, and I don't think the Chargers are probably in as good of a spot as they probably should be right now. It's going to take a little while, I think, for them to kind of understand what Jim Harbaugh wants. So I'm going to go with Canales' first one here.
Stu?
2-0.
I don't even have to vote. So, yeah. So 2-0. Panthers start off the season 2-0. And, well, no, the national media still ain't talking about us yet. We still got ways to go.
You're going to go with the win there, though?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So
right.
I'm just going to pick. Yeah. Because, I mean, it's a home game. It is Harbaugh. So even if they don't have Herbert, I imagine a heavy dose of the run game. But I think our defense at home can be okay with that. They can deal with that and take some advantages. I like the notion that they had in Camp Confidential where they're focusing on turnovers. And that was something I pulled from that episode that I watched where they're teaching the peanut punch. They're teaching, go after the ball, like that ball security, that kind of thing. That seems to be their main thing. It's all about the balls. What Canales is always saying goes both ways, offense and defense. I think we'll maybe see a turnover or two in that ball game in week 2. Week 3, we're on the road. It's a 4:05 p.m. kickoff. It's out west in Las Vegas, taking on the Raiders. It's a CBS game at Allegiant Stadium. 4:05 kickoff on CBS. Week 3, Panthers enter this 2-0 according to us on the road. Schuyler?
I was gonna go win here because I'm thinking Gardner Minshew, but I mean I really worry about the pass rush in this game. I mean, Max Crosby is one of the best in the game.
Yeah,
Icky's still gonna have to have. I'm sure he's still gonna have some things he needs to iron out, and then offensively, I mean, we've talked about the Panthers corner situation all off season, all training camp long. All they have is J.C. Horn right now, and they got to go against Devontae Adams. So I'm going to go with the Raiders here.
Still.
This is one of them ones, man. It can go either way. It can go either way. It's a road game.
West Coast,
the travel. I'm thinking to myself, this is a game they should win, but somehow, they lose this one.
Both of you guys pick lose? I think I was going that way too. And really for me, it's as simple as it's a 4:05 start. Like, for some reason, it feels like whenever I watch a Panthers game that plays late afternoon or evening, I'm more apprehensive about them winning it. I don't know why. I think John Fox put that in me. Like, he really loved 1 o'clock kickoffs or something. And I think Rivera did too. And it's just like, I guess it's the routine. Like, you'd rather have the 1 o'clock routine than the 4 o'clock and having to wait, or in the night game and waiting all day and that kind of stuff. So I'm going with that. Plus the travel, you're going cross country to Las Vegas. I'm gonna pick a LT. Well, we all did, so that matters. So the Panthers are 2-1 after 3 weeks. I would take.
I'm gonna put it this way. It's so weird because in my mind, I'm just like, they should win this game.
Right. Yeah. I'm kind of feeling that way too, because the Raiders, I don't think are going to be very good.
Because I mean, at the end of the day, you got Devontae Adams, you got JC Horn. Hey, JC, lock down Devontae Adams. This is an opportunity for him. You know what I'm saying?
And he looked good in Camp Confidential too. Hopefully, he can get to the potential that we all see with him as a potential top 5, top 10 cornerback in the league. So and it'll help him go against Deontay Johnson every week.
What y'all think about Cincinnati?
Week 4, Cincinnati comes to the Vault, Bank of America Stadium. So 1 o'clock kickoffs on Fox. Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty coming into town. They still don't have an offensive line, do they?
Yeah, he's gonna
it's better. It's better. It's not perfect yet, but I don't see them winning this game either. I mean, it's going to be a close game. I think this is kind of one of those weird things where you'll lose a game like we just said you probably feel like you should win on the road against the Raiders. You come back home and you're thinking, oh, my goodness, here comes the Bengals. But I feel like they're going to give Cincy a game, but I just don't know that they have enough to get across the finish line. So I want to go with Cincy.
I think Cincinnati got some issues.
They got rid of
internal issues.
Who's the running back that's in Houston now? That was their running back. Mixon. They don't have Mixon anymore. Yeah. They still have T. Higgins. Did they sign him? Or
yeah. And
they have not signed Jamar Chase, right? So
nope.
That's going on. And I was under the impression they did not have the money to sign them both. So I don't know. The Bengals are kind of.
Higgins is on a franchise tag, I believe.
Okay, that makes sense then. But even with that, like, they're still gonna have to make that. They just kick that can down the road. They're gonna have to make that decision.
There's no commitment to their players besides Burrow, and that's a problem.
It's the same thing with CeeDee Lamb. It's like at wide receiver, you already know how much the money is. Like, it's already kind of been slotted.
We already know what's gonna happen to Dallas Cowboys. It doesn't matter what they do in the regular season.
They're gonna have to pay that man. Like, they're gonna pay that man. They're gonna pay him more than what they were supposed to because they waited. That's what they did with Dak the last time. With Jamar Chase, would you say Jamar's a top 5 wide receiver?
Oh yeah.
So he just had his top 5 money, right? So that's what, 28, 30 million per?
I think
they ain't gonna pay no wide receiver $30 million.
There
ain't no way.
You got Vontae, you
got Justin Jefferson. Jefferson's getting 30. Tyreek Hill, he's getting 30.
That's the only ones I'd put above him.
Yeah. Huh. So Cincinnati ain't gonna pay that. Although they did pay Burrow. They gave him his money. And to be honest, Burrow's really only had one healthy season. Like, out of the 3 he's played, he's been banged up every year except for the 1 year when they got to the Super Bowl. His second year? Yeah, that sounds right. His second year. So I kind of think this is a winnable game. And I think the star of the game would be the rushing attack for the Panthers in this game. I feel like they could really rack up some yards on the ground at home and really show what Canales has been talking about, that he wants to run the ball. I think this is the week that's an opportunity for them to really kind of press that home, coming off of that road game, giving some help to Bryce. I kind of – am I supposed to pick here, or did you both pick? Would you?
I went lost. I don't know.
You picked win, didn't you?
I think they're going to win.
So I do have to pick. I see Skyler go ahead and just go write the win down on his sheet. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and pick a win because I don't know. I feel like the national media has been on the Bengals ever since they made it to the Super Bowl and have stuck with them throughout because of Burrow, but they haven't really been that good. Remember, they got off a really slow start last year, and Burrow was hurt for a little bit of that. His leg or whatever was going, his calf or something was going on. He had like forgot what it was, something that it was lingered throughout most of the year, and I don't think they've really fixed the offensive line. So I'm gonna push the Panthers to surprising 3-1 record in September. Or is it? Is it surprising as we head into October and a matchup against Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears? And I have to admit, I may have been wrong about Caleb Williams. I was not very impressed with him, but I'm seeing stuff, and granted it's preseason, but I'm just seeing stuff and hearing stuff about him where they are kind of comparing him to Pat Mahomes, not in terms of throwing behind the back passes and craziness like that, but just like his mobility in the pocket. They're starting to compare him to it. And I saw the one play where he's scrambling around, and if you squint your eyes, it kind of looks like Pat Mahomes a little bit. That's what he's doing, and he ran into the end zone. And I'm happy for the Bears because who is the greatest Bears quarterback in franchise history?
They've never
Caleb
had
Williams.
After 2 preseason games.
The next good one.
I always say Jim McMahon, and even then, that was really like a 2-year, 3-year stretch. He wasn't there for 10 years. It was like 84 to 86, and that was it really for McMahon. Who what's his name? Did Jake Plummer play for the Bears? No, I'm thinking of
Cutler.
Jake Cutler. Would that be no? Would it? So I'm trying to figure out. He's got an opportunity to really do something special. And the Bears, even though they picked first, they were not the worst team in the NFL last year. It was us. They used our pick to get Caleb Williams. So don't be fooled. It's at Chicago, though.
I'm not.
It's a 1 o'clock kick.
I'm still not sold on Caleb. And again, I'm not saying that he won't be good. I want to see it in the actual regular season first.
How you not sold on Caleb Williams after what we just seen in preseason?
I mean,
like the boy,
the boy's
looking exactly how he
maybe I
looked
should
in
rephrase that. Maybe I should
looking
rephrase
exactly
that.
how he looked in college.
I don't think he is as close to being this like superstar Patrick Mahomes type player like a lot of people.
I wouldn't do all of that.
He's got weapons.
I think he can be a really good quarterback, but I don't think he's anywhere near deserving at this point. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think he's ever going to get to that point. But I don't know.
It's on the road.
It's one of those games where it just feels like the narrative is going to come back up again. You know, the Bears got all this stuff from
who
Carolina,
won the trade. Yeah.
And it's just a weird feeling. And in a weird way, I think the Bears have more at certain spots. It's a toss-up, and I promise you I'm going to pick some wins, but it's not going to be here.
Didn't we beat the Bears last year?
No.
Who did we beat? We beat Houston?
Falcons and Houston.
Okay.
Which, oddly enough, after the preseason game on Saturday, we were talking about it. When the Panthers scored the first field goal on Saturday, that was the first time they led in a game since 2022.
Wow. Because
both wins last year were walk-off field goals.
You're right. They didn't lead in any fourth quarter in any game last year. Man, God, we've been going through it. It's been rough. What you got, Stu? At the Bears, week 5. We got them coming in 3-1. And probably at this point, the media going, "What's going on in Charlotte? Why are they 3-1?" And they got to go play at Chicago. What you think?
Again, I think they can win this game. It's a away game, though, and I gotta say, that's a tough place to play. Tough place to be in. You know, they're just a whole different team as well. That receiver core is stacked.
DJ Moore, we're familiar with him. Roma Dunze from Washington's in there. The 9th overall pick. They got some weapons. Like they got
Keenan.
Keenan Allen. Yeah. Ooh, gosh, that's right. They got Keenan Allen. Man.
So I'm looking at this like they just stacked. So whoever our DBs are that week, they're gonna have their hands full.
They also have DeAndre Swift too, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. What I'm picking the Bears. They got a lot going on. Like they might be a factor in the North.
I think that's how you should be talking about the Chicago Bears.
Yeah. They got again. They weren't the worst team in the NFL last year. I think people get psyched out about it because they had the number 1 pick, but they did that from a shrewd trade with the
GM's been doing his job.
Yeah. Are we picking the Bears here?
Yeah,
we're picking the Bears.
Yeah, we're gonna pick the Bears. So that makes. I feel more comfortable saying that the Panthers are 3-2 after 5 games. That sounds doable. And I think the two of the wins are at home. We picked them to beat the Chargers and the Bengals. That makes sense. And at the Saints.
I have them at 1-4 to this point.
But good Lord.
The thing's gonna turn.
All right. Well,
it's going to start right here.
Week 6, Sunday, October 13th. This is a late kickoff, 4:25 p.m. It's at Bank of America Stadium, so keep that in mind. It's a home game, divisional game against the Atlanta Falcons, and I would assume it would be Kirk Cousins at the helm, coaching the squad. They got skill position players too on offense. They've been drafting skill position players on offense the past 3 or 4 years. Kyle Pitts.
I think this is the time of the season where we're going to see exactly who the Carolina Panthers are. And I think this is where I'm hopeful that the Carolina Panthers actually show kind of who they are as an identity. I think we're going to be able to run the ball whenever we want to. And that's just going to deliver, a situation for our defense to be rested and rested so well to where Kirk Cousins is going to be out there looking for some help. Right. So I'm gonna have to say Atlanta Falcons definitely gonna win this game. Or no, the Carolina Panthers gonna win this game. That was about to I was going against everything I was saying.
Schuyler.
But I think running the ball is gonna be very important. And if we can establish the run by this time in the season, we're gonna be able to be in a lot of games.
Yeah. And that's key. Having the same offensive lineup at this point of week, I think that would be crucial too. The years it feels like when we've had really good years in Carolina, we've had offensive line that has been basically the same combination like throughout the year, and they're able to build that cohesiveness. It's supposed to the run game, it's supposed to pass protection, everything else. So I'll be looking at that by the time we get to week 6. Did you pick Atlanta or did you pick Carolina? So you picked Carolina. And you picked, so everybody picked it. Okay. All right. So Carolina goes to 4-2, which actually, you know what? It's 3 road games, 3 home games in the first 6. We can't ask for much better than that. That's manageable. Week 7, October the 20th, it's a late kickoff again, 4:05 p.m. This time at Washington, who just announced that Jalen Daniels will be the starter week 1. The quarterback they drafted high, top 10 from LSU. Don't know a whole lot about Washington. At Washington, Rivera is no longer the coach there. What say you guys? This is a win game for you?
I'm going to go Carolina, but I do love Jaden Daniels a lot. If y'all remember, I said I think he's the best quarterback in the class. Mm-hmm. We'll see if that holds true, but I just think that from a personnel standpoint, Carolina's got a little bit more. It feels like one of these kind of low-scoring, kind of slug-it-out type of games.
Run game.
Yeah, they're going to have to lean on Chuba and Miles. And
I feel like the Commanders had
Jonathan Brooks should be back.
And the Commanders had some departures there on a defensive line last year, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they're kind of in a rebuild. I would say if I had to choose between like the Bears and the Commanders, I would go with the Bears. They've got more over the past couple of years and some trades and stuff. Washington's kind of where the Bears were like 2 years ago, I guess. I think if everything is ticking at this point and we got the run game going and we're walking into this game, confidence with a young team too is really important. And if we're walking into this game 4-2, taking on Washington, that's a different vibe than coming in 2-4 or whatever and being a young team. So I'm kind of riding the Dave Canales wave here in terms of positivity and everything else. If they're 4-2 going into this game at Washington late October, I'm kind of leaning towards picking Carolina.
There it is.
So
good job.
Stu, you went
5-2.
Yeah, I got Carolina.
We're 5-2 going into week 8.
And the lightest portion of the schedule is about to come.
Oh man. So we're gonna be 13-4 or whatever. So week 8 at Denver. Man, you're right. Another 4:00 kickoff, 4:25 p.m. It's on the road. It's at Mile High. It's a CBS game. Bo Nix, maybe the quarterback here. You know what? I don't know if I like how this is setting up because this is
listen. This is how it's set up.
Here we go.
I got a surprise for you. Who's going to win the division?
This is great. Chris Fire said, "My heart says 17-0. My brain says 6-11 or 7-10." I don't know.
Now, also, if you remember, and I think both of y'all probably kind of looked at me side-eyed when I said this, but I did say Bo Nix was the most pro-ready quarterback when we were doing the draft talk.
You did.
So I got to root for my guy Bo here. Not necessarily in this game for the season, but I'm with y'all. Like in certain ways, I think this team's going to struggle on the road, and the Broncos. I just don't think Sean Payton's going to be somebody that comes in there, loses for a couple years and gets fired. Like I think he's going to find a way to turn it around and become competitive. So he's speaking really highly on Bo. And I think by week 8, the kid's going to have it figured out.
That division's so tough, though. AFC West. They're dealing with the Chiefs. You got the Chargers in there. So you picking the Broncos to win that game?
Yep.
Still.
Jadeveon Clowney is going to have a great game this game, and we're going to walk out of there with the dub.
Oh, man. I got to pick this game.
So a win.
It is a road game, and I do agree with the whole it's going to be tougher on the road. But again, I'm going off of what we've already done. And if we're walking into this game at Denver at 5-2, just the momentum of it. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, because to me, football is a game of, I know players say it's not, and I know coaches say it's not, but I feel like it's a game of momentum sometimes. Like, you get rolling and a vibe starts building, and you just start building this confidence. And as you start stacking wins, and there's always a team nobody expects to just be stacking wins off to the side. And they don't talk about us when we're doing it anyway. They talk about us at the very end, like, oh, wow, Carolina's 12-5 or whatever. Like, what happened? Like, they don't pay attention while it's actually going on. I think they could be kind of sneaky under the radar. However, if they won this game, they would be 6-2 and probably atop of the division. And I don't think that they would be sneaking on anybody at this point. They'd be halfway through the season pretty much.
Don't forget the depth.
I'm going to pick a
first-year coach.
There's got to be a stretch here where the bottom falls out. Like, we're kind of preconditioned for it, aren't we? Like, it's somewhere. I don't know where it's at. I'm picking a dub. Week 9. November 3rd, as we get into November, 1:00 kickoff back home, Bank of America Stadium, taking on the Saints. It's a division game. It'll be the second time we've seen them after the home opener.
Did you say win or loss for Denver? Des,
he said win.
No, you.
Oh, me? I said win.
Okay.
I'm not sure about it, but it's August, so we'll see how that plays out. Saints. Stu, we'll start with you on this one.
I'll say this one could potentially be a loss.
This is
and basically because you get to play the Carolina Panthers twice, right? So if we're gonna lose a division game, it could be this one, and basically because the defense comes to play and figures out our DNA, and they're ready for it.
I hate to agree with you, but I'm going to.
That'd be our first home loss of the season.
The Saints, in my scenario, sweep the series.
Oh, yeah, you picked them to. Based off of the voting process we have here, that would end up being the first loss for the Panthers at home all season in November.
Oh, what a time, baby. What a time. I love it. I love everything about it.
Ooh, then we get the Giants week 10. Daniel Jones all apart right in front of us. Like he was never really completely together, to be honest. I never understood why he got drafted so hot. Dave Gettleman drafted him. I'm just gonna say this is gonna be an ugly win. Yeah. Now this is in Germany. So cute. This is a 9:30 kickoff. This is the Germany game. It's on NFL Network. I will have to do that whole free trial mess again to get to this game so I can actually see it. And the bye is right after it. So who did we play right before them? It was the Saints at home, and then we fly to Germany. Probably as soon as that game is over, we'll probably fly to Germany and be there for the week. We're gonna be able to run the ball. Pass rush for the Giants won't be a factor. Yeah, I don't like the Giants. I don't like them at all. I told you I didn't like their GM from watching that.
Brian Burns revenge game here.
Yeah, revenge game. I'm behind.
Yeah. Good luck, buddy.
Listen, if we can establish the run, like I said, we will do in week 6. We're like rolling right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, too, going back to Schuyler, Callihan, this is all about depth. All of this is basically saying, with injuries being at the very minimal, we can make things shake. Now, if we have some major blows,
that boat gonna be rocking.
That boat gonna be rocking. So, but in my opinion, I think we are able to solidify health along the way to where we have time for these younger guys and that depth throughout the season to get comfortable. So
I'm going to go win here too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The Giants, I don't know what really – I mean, I know their offensive line was awful last year, but I thought Dable was really going to turn them around. Maybe he still does, and they just need a new quarterback. That's very possible. But I'm worried for him that he's going to get fired for Daniel Jones, and that's not even a guy that he –
And the running back got hurt, didn't he?
Yeah, Saquon. Yeah.
No.
Sorry, you mean this year?
This year's running back. I feel like I saw something he got hurt.
Was that Singletary? Maybe.
That's really fun. I don't think Dayball really likes the GM. That was the vibe I was catching from watching that Hard Knocks. Like there was that one scene where they had made a decision and then Dayball just stood up and just smooth walked off, and everybody talked about it and was like, he didn't even say goodbye. He just walked out, didn't he? Like there's something. I don't think Dayball is really married to Daniel Jones. I think he wanted another quarterback, but they had already paid him the money like before he got there. So it's like it's a weird dynamic. Daniel Jones isn't good. I'm sorry, he is not $40 million a year good.
Never understood why they took him top 10.
Tyrone Tracy is the one that got hurt, the rookie running back.
Oh, okay. I'd pick the Panthers too, just because I'm not high on the Giants. I think they're going to bottom out this year.
I have a feeling we're going to be in consensus on this next one, though.
So we get a bye, and then that man, Pat Mahomes, comes to here. We're hosting the Kansas City Chiefs Sunday, November 24th. Is that Thanksgiving weekend?
Probably.
It might be a CBS game. It's a 1:00 kickoff. It's week 12. The Panthers entered this game 7-3 based on our predictions. So it's after a bye week now. So Canales and his crew, we get a full, bye week to plan for them. So that's the best case scenario. And I like having the bye where it is. Week 11. It's not really late in the year. It's not super early. It's kind of around the middle.
I mean, at least you have it right before the Chiefs too.
Yeah, and you get it before the Chiefs. Like that's perfect. So this is end of November. Chiefs.
I won't waste any time on my analysis, but loss.
Whoa, Stu. Did you get muted?
I was muted.
Yeah.
The Chiefs win that one. Sorry. I've been saying the Chiefs won for like the last 2 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Now, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, Tampa Bay, week 13, December 1st, another 4:00 kickoff. I was wrong. I thought it was a bunch of 1:00. There's some 4:00 sprinkled in here, too. 4:00 at Bank of America Stadium. It's on Fox. December. We are 7-4 at this point.
I'm going with another loss.
Nah.
Yeah.
I think we're going to win this game because we have the secret weapon. We have Dave Canales, the quarterback whisperer. He's going to be able to give us a lot of intel about this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team.
They pretty much returned the roster they had last year, it feels like.
So we'll be ready. We'll be ready to go.
First time we see Tampa on the schedule, it's not until December. Did Baker make Dave Canales look good, or did Dave Canales make Baker look good? Because that's really the question. We're gonna find out early. At this point in the season, it's week 13. We're 7-4. Like there's playoff implications going on at this point. I don't know who else in the NFC South would be there with us. Probably Atlanta, I would think. If
I think Atlanta is the better team in the division.
I think so too, especially what they did getting Judon from New England, and they're going for it now. It feels like, Tampa, it's home. We've picked them to win every home game except for the Saints, the second time we see them, and the Chiefs. So we've been holding it down at home. The Bucs have won the division the past 2 years. One of those years though they had Tom Brady. What did y'all pick?
Loss.
Win.
Damn it. I'm gonna go loss here, even though it's at home. It is Tampa.
Shame.
It just feels like that's one of those games.
Peer pressure.
Maybe one of those games where we should have won it.
Peer pressure is a hell of a drug.
I feel like we're gonna leave that game like that's one of them games we should have won. Like we did everything right. We had something happen, and we ended up giving away a game that we should have won the game. I feel like we got one of those every year. I feel like that might be one of them. This gets tough. Week 14 at Philly.
Yeah. I have this weird feeling about Philly that they're gonna kind of get off to a start, and there's gonna be some talk like, "Oh, Nick Sirianni lost it" or whatever.
Nah,
but by the
Philadelphia
time around
Eagles,
November, December comes here, like they're gonna be playing good football. So playing in Philly, like, again, this is when the depth starts to really set in. Like week 14, you're going to have guys that are going to be out. And I just don't see them winning this game.
Philly's offensive line might be the best in football. And Jalen Hurts will be in year 4. He's already been paid too. AJ Brown on the outside. Like they got, they were 10-1 last year. And
look, man, the Eagles are going to they're going to win their division.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I just don't trust.
That's how good they're going to be next year. I think. You got Saquon Barkley. You got what? Devontae Smith.
Yep.
AJ Brown. AJ Brown. Did they add another receiver, like another rookie receiver?
I felt like they did, but I can't remember.
They may have drafted one.
And then Jalen Hurts is pissed off from last year because everybody's talking bad about him.
I love Jalen Hurts. Yeah, I love Jalen Hurts. I wanted us to draft him. We could have, but we didn't. Second round.
But I'm gonna go ahead and get that loss
to the Eagles. You feeling the same way, Schuyler?
Yeah.
So that's a 3-game losing streak. Puts the Panthers at 7-6. All right. Okay. As they
starting to get pretty on pace.
Yeah, it's getting there. The schedule started to come back around after we when we come back from the bye. That's when the fun starts because that's Chiefs, Bucs at Philly, and then hosting Dallas. Who knows what Dallas is going to be at this point? Week 15, December 15th, a 1:00 kickoff, which I like. It's at Bank of America Stadium. It's going to be in the middle of December, which means it could be 75 degrees outside. It could be a foot of snow. We have no idea what it's going to be. Even though now that I say that out loud, I don't think I've seen snow in like 2 years. The past 2 winters we've had. So it's been kind of balmy kind of winters here in the Carolinas. What is Dallas doing at this point? Week 15.
Losing. They losing.
I mean, they've gone 12-5 the past 2 regular seasons with this.
But they're going to lose at home because they don't play really well here.
Yeah, on the road. Yeah, you're right. They did have some troubles on the road last year, especially, I remember. And Dallas is prone to drop games that you don't expect them to drop. Like, I'm still stuck on this whole Green Bay playoff disaster that happened.
That was atrocious.
Nobody showed up, like, at all. It was weird. So, and then their excuse was they were tired. And they said it out loud to the press, man, we're tired. Like, what are you doing here then? Like, why are you in the playoffs?
And I think the fan engagement during this time of the year, we're going to have 7 wins under our belt at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And like people will actually kind of like, okay, we can't let Dallas come in here and just take control of the Bank of America Stadium. So the environment's going to be good. It's going to be like, what it should feel like as far as the football atmosphere in Charlotte, North Carolina. The energy is going to be there. Dallas is going to come in here thinking they're going to just get this walk in the park, and they got too many internal issues. So
you don't like Cowboys,
and I think it's just
you do not care for them.
Well, just more so their leadership,
Yeah,
like that's what you have to look at when it comes to, you making or breaking organizations.
You do hit on something here in terms of where they are in the schedule, that their season might have gone one way or another at this point in week 15. And if there's egos and people haven't got their money and all this stuff going on and they're losing, the same thing happens with that snowball effect. So that's a winnable game, and it's at home. At this point, you guys have picked home losses to the Saints, the Chiefs, the Bucks. So, I mean, the Saints would have been the second time we saw them. The Bucks is our first time seeing. They're both division opponents, and then the Kansas City Chiefs. So, I mean, we're saying home-wise, we're pretty formidable, we think, going into this year. Are we picking the Panthers to beat the Cowboys?
No, sir.
Okay. Well, Stu, you said you do pick them to win, right?
I pick them to win.
Snap. I'm gonna pick the Cowboys because they're at least more established than we are at this point. As much as I'd love to say that that's a game we should win, I can't.
Bro, let me remind you.
I can't say that.
Let me remind y'all right quick. Dave Canales did something very special for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year, didn't he? It got him a job. It got him a head coaching job. We have Bryce Young. Okay, first round draft pick, showed some bright spots last year. If Dave does what he did in Tampa Bay last year with Baker Mayfield, we're going to be in a great position, especially if we can keep our quarterback upright.
I agree.
Pitch? You like that?
I agree with that. I don't know if it changes this game. I agree with everything you just said. I just don't know if Cowboys are good in a regular season. It is a road game. Health will be a factor at this point too. I keep hearing Schuyler's voice in my head that we don't have depth, and he said this last year that around this time of the schedule, this is when it's going to start showing.
Depth is an issue. Depth is definitely could be an issue,
especially on defense. And if the Cowboys are going to throw it around,
I'll tell you this. Our roster is not set. Things could still change as far as our roster goes with the rest of the cuts that are about to happen in the weeks coming forward too. So depth can change.
If I pick them to lose, that's a 4-game losing streak at the end of the year, which actually, depending on health and what's going on, it could be factors outside of our control.
Think about it this way. And I'm not trying to sway your decision. I'm just saying about the depth perspective. Because like Stu is right. Like they could add some pieces here, but I don't think they're going to be able to do a whole lot in terms of really fixing the bottom 20 of this roster. Like,
not this year. Yeah.
So when you get to week 15, you might start to see some of these guys that we've seen in these first 2 preseason games.
Yes. And that's where I think dudes like DiCaprio Boodle and guys like that, where they may be on the practice squad or something, they find a way to stow them away. You start seeing these names come pop back up again. Lamar Jackson, guys like that. I'm going to pick an L. So that's a 4-game losing streak, 3 of the 4 at home. The Panthers are 7-7. Week 16, Arizona comes to town. This is another home game. 1 o'clock kickoff Sunday, December the 22nd. I assume Kyler Murray is your quarterback. That feels like a winnable game, to be honest.
I got them potentially losing this game.
Oh man,
this is a sneaky.
This is a pass rush needed game because he's going to be a guy that can get out of the pocket.
Yeah, running around all over the place. I'm Kyler Murray. Like I don't like little. I shouldn't say I don't like little quarterbacks. This is the wrong show to say that. I've never liked him. I've never thought he was serious about being an NFL player. Like every time I see him, it feels like it's kind of like a hobby. So I don't really know. But he's got his money too. He got paid $200-something million.
And he's got a new receiver over there too.
Who did they draft?
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh.
He out there making them boys look stupid in practice.
A lot of people consider him the top talent in the draft. Overall. By week 16, are they cooking though? I gotta give the Panthers a win at home. They started out so strong at home, and then the teams they lost to: Chiefs, Bucks, Cowboys, Saints at home. All of it after November starts. I'm picking. Well, it's not really my pick. You guys pick. You guys go.
I'm going loss. I don't know. So Stu's the decision maker here.
Yeah, I got a loss here.
Okay, so we're gonna go with L. So that's a 5-game losing streak now, and now all of a sudden the Panthers, who were 7-3 at one point, are now 7-8. Week 17 at Tampa Bay. As we'll round this up, we'll do the division winners next week. Because we've already gone through an hour. It's week 17. It's after Christmas. It's a 1:00 kickoff. It's Tampa. It's at Tampa at Raymond James Stadium. It's a CBS game. Second time we would have seen Tampa, and we had them losing to the Bucks at home at the beginning of December. What do you guys got?
They get revenge. I think they do. I think this is kind of a spoiler game for Carolina. In my situation, they have nothing really to play for other than to be a spoiler. And I think that you'll start to see, even though I picked some of these games for them to lose, like this is a brutal back end of the schedule. And they're going through it. I mean, after they get back from Germany, they got the Chiefs, Bucks, Eagles, Cowboys, Cardinals. Yeah. Like, these are some good teams. I think they're going to play those teams tough. You're going to see some progression. You're going to start to feel good, even though the results aren't there. And I think these last few games, you'll start to really see that come through. I think they'll get the win here and kind of spoil Tampa Bay.
Still?
Yeah, I got a sweep. Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Nuts.
Sweep.
This is a 5-game losing streak I'm staring at, and they would have, and actually, as I'm looking at it, they would have lost 6 of their past 8 at that point. Because at one point we had them at 6-2, and then it just starts to bottom out.
Think about it. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers at their place for the last couple of years here, they're going to get lulled to sleep like, oh, the Panthers are coming to town. Wow.
Wow.
Gonna get that butt smack.
I'm leaning towards a win here because, again, the spotlight would be off the Panthers.
All right, lean with it, rock with it. That's good. I don't know. We don't even need no explanation.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. So we're at 800. We're at 500 again, 8-8, going into the final game of the season at Atlanta with a chance to finish above 500. And hell, who knows? This is the NFC South. 9 wins might win the division. This might be a division championship game. Like, who knows? Like, for real, seriously, like. It was only 10. It was 10 wins last year, wasn't it? Isn't that what Tampa 10-7?
Yeah.
It could go down. People think this is the worst division of football. It kind of would make sense that the division winner's 9-8. And it kind of sets up. We said Atlanta would be the team we thought would be contending for number 1 in the division. It's at Atlanta. It's it says to be determined. So even the NFL, whoever's writing the script or whatever, has it as a potential flex because they don't know. They have no idea. What do you guys think here? As the Panthers come to this game 8-8, and maybe have some smoke going on with playoffs or whatever.
This will be, I think, again, the result won't be what you want, but you come off a win against Tampa Bay on the road. You go to Atlanta, who's competing for a division title. It's going to be a back and forth game. I really think this is going to be like a game that's played into the 30s, and you're going to go into the offseason feeling really good about Bryce Young. So I don't think they win, but the feeling is much, much better to end the season than it was a year ago.
Still.
This is it's a hard one.
We don't even know what day we're playing. It just says to be determined.
So probably Wednesday.
They can flex it to Sunday night. Well, did they even do Sunday night football? Well, yeah, they do Sunday night football last week. So it could be Sunday night football. It could be a late game.
Every week 18 game is flexible at this point.
Oh, that makes sense then. So they can kind of figure out which one to put on and everything else. But Stu?
I'm going to go with a maybe win.
Maybe.
Please explain.
A maybe win is basically, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Like, hopefully these guys just rock it, and win this game. But I will say, in my opinion, Falcons are, their roster is way more sound than anyone else in the division. And I feel like they are basically prepping themselves to basically go win now approach with Kirk Cousins there. And if Kirk Cousins is not the guy, then they have Penix. And so either way, the next 3 years are going to be set.
I like Penix. He kind of reminds me of Tua a little bit. Left-handed. Just not really mobile.
You just don't like left-handed guys?
I said I like him. I like him. He reminds me of Tua.
Like
They're both left-handed. Yeah. They're left-handed. They're not really mobile dudes. Maybe it's the motion of the throw because they're left-handed. It just looks different. So, and I like Penix at Washington. Like
let's just leave Week 18 out of this. Let's not. I feel like I don't want to jinx Week 18.
We could go with a tie.
We're just going to end it at 8-8 and not even.
Let's just leave it at 8-8 and explain to people why. Because this is a crucial game and we don't want to put nothing on it.
Who do we? When we played, we won when we played them in October at home. That actually pushed us to 4-2 on the season. I will say this: regardless of the outcome of that game, whether it's 9-8 or 8-9, it sets up Carolina and Dave Canales to be talked about a lot going into the next season. And you go from 2-15 to 8-9 or 9-8 or whatever in your first season as a head coach.
Then you get guys in the free agency that want to come play here for a nice, cool coach.
Yeah,
I have the final tally, and believe it or not, the most optimistic person on this panel is the legendary Jonathan Stewart.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He's got the Carolina Cats at 10-6. Des, you have 9-7. I have 5-12. Unless you pick one, but
I mean, I think Atlanta's gonna probably win that game. It's at Atlanta,
so you're 9-8.
Yeah, okay. And I'm cool with that. That if we finish 9-8 after last year, after the past 3 years,
yeah.
I feel like, yes, we're moving in the right direction. They're doing the right stuff. Keep doing it. Like, keep building this. This is going to be like in the NFL, we've seen it. It don't take, but like, if you know what you're doing, a couple off seasons to really get your roster completely turned around. We just saw the Rams do it a couple years ago where they had bottomed out and had a couple pieces, Aaron Donald, this and that. 2 years later in the Super Bowl. Like, it don't take that long. The two times the Panthers have made the Super Bowl, it's been within 2 years of whatever head coach being here, getting there. Well, no, Rivera took a little longer. It was 4 years, but Fox was in 2 years. Seifert had him in the NFC Championship game in 2 years. Like, I mean, it don't take very long to do it if you know what you're doing. And if they're following the same kind of blueprint, I'm happy at 8-9 or 9-8 or whatever it ends up being. But this ain't that bad. This ain't as bad as I thought it was going to be. This seems kind of where I was heading anyway. I feel like they could be a 500 team if they've got health and they do what they say. They're going to run the ball and everything else. I can kind of see that playing out. So we got them at, I'm just going to say 8-9 if we say they lose to Atlanta. And I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. I'm going to
go 10-8.
They're probably in the playoff. They probably win the division. Or 10-7. They probably win the division at 10-7, right? They would host a playoff game.
But it's at 10-7. I said 10-8.
Yeah,
10-7.
Next year or a year after when they have that.
That's next year.
They
play the extra game.
Oh, and I was wrong. Not Seifert. Dom Capers was the first coach, and he led them to the NFC Championship game, 96 against.
So you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. I got the Carolina Panthers going 10-7. Holla at your boy. Argue with your mom.
The show has them at 8-9. I think because 10-7.
The show can be the show, but you already know what it is. Jonathan Stewart versus the show.
Man, if we get 10 wins,
yeah, you're gonna be at every game. You're gonna be just like he was rocking back in 2015.
Yeah,
this is nice.
If I end up being right, I'm sorry.
You end up being wrong, then you owe us.
Yo, that's gonna do it for us. Again,
I honestly think that 7 games though is absolutely reachable.
I think so too.
Like, no question about it.
Yep.
Just our
extra three extra games.
Yep.
Surprise wins.
It's doable.
That's the determining factor for me.
Next week we'll wrap up preseason and we'll do the division winners next week since this took us a little bit longer to get through. Shout out to everybody that stopped through today. Shout out to Bet Online, our sponsor, and shout out to Bleav Podcast Networks for having us. Again, next week we'll do division winners across the whole NFL. and we'll review preseason game number 3. Because really, I think by the time we come back next week, they'll have cuts, right? Like we'll have a 53.
I think they'll go. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they do have another
week. They have a whole week before.
Yeah.
So we'll still have some time. So we'll dissect it and see who might be on that cut line and guys we might want to keep around. So for Schuyler, for Stu, I'm Des. You've been listening to the Bleav in Panthers podcast here on Bleav Podcast Networks. Keep pounding.